And joining us in studio is Khoza, an independent political analyst. Mosiri Tsiane is with the South African Liberty Foundation as their chairperson. Professor Berry Hanyane is with the University of the Northwest, and he joins us on the phone line. Bilitso Tetsi is ANC political commissar. Thank you to our guests. Good evening to you. And the lines are open, of course. You're welcome to give us a ring, or you can join us on social media. Udo, I think for me it's an anticlimax, because there has been this kind of rumor and murmuring with the DA leader Mmusi Maimane saying, hold on Monday we're going to have this big bravado and a declaration or announcement from Dr. Makosi Khoza. Now we hear that she's not going anywhere. What do you know?
You're referring to Aloysius Maimane, not so?
Aloysius, that's his other name. Yeah.
That's his real name.
Correct.
Yeah, was made into an African now. Anyway, if you
I
ask
think that went over my head completely, but let's just stick to the point.
If you ask any of the MK cadres in KwaZulu today and of yesterday in the 1990s about the makings of Dr. Makosi Khoza, they will all and unanimously say to you directly, and I quote them, "Oh, we've always had a very serious suspicion about her being a foreign agent. We never trusted her, and her behavior comes up again and again. It seems that her handlers are still around," unquote. Those are the responses from MK cadres in KwaZulu. In addition to that, in fact, many cadres point out that Makosi Khoza was expelled from all ANC structures in the early 1990s by none other than the revered, now late, Harry Gwala. He never trusted her and he fired her. That was the fact. You can check it up in the annals of the history of the ANC. It is there. So then she left Pietermaritzburg rather in a hurry because of her behavior that was public knowledge amongst ANC cadres throughout KwaZulu.
But part of her political credentials, she says she's been in the ANC for 35 years, and clearly she's got mainstay because the province nominated her to represent them in the National Assembly.
Well, the question is now who in the ANC higher structures brought her back into the ANC fold. That is the question, who brought her back into the fold? Mm-hmm. I don't have the answer. It's just a question that comes up.
No, but you know what? I think in terms of the party discipline in how she conducted herself, the charges are quite clear in terms of putting the party in disrepute, Indeed. Speaking publicly outside the structures of the organization. That now that, she says she's not going to go, is this, in your view, Mosiri, a provocation on her part for the ANC to fire her, and that way she'll be a martyr, in a way?
I think ANC has not provoked her at one stage nor the other. When ANC was voted in power, in general and in particular, no one voted for one Makosi Khoza. There was a vote for the African National Congress, and there were 11 million people who voted for the African National Congress. Now, suddenly, some people are making themselves holier than others or more important than the ANC in this regard. If you have differences that you might have with whomever it is within your own organization, or that you have, you've got to behave in a way that is most holily disciplined, that you've got to go to the structures of the ANC, address it and so forth at your branch level, at various levels, and have discussions. I think they also have it even at provincial level where the debates are. There are various mechanisms in which you can have it. But the behavior that we see from this particular individual is, one can say that you are eating the ANC from the inside alive. That's what you're doing. You're trying to make sure that ANC become, at all matters and all respect, a dismantled organization. You are reflecting the negativity within the organization and so forth. Worst part of it all is that before you can even go to a vote of no confidence against your own president, you go publicly that you're not going to vote for him. What is that? I mean, there is no reaction that the ANC could have. Yes, the ANC, as indicated by its spokesperson, that they're not dealing with what her attitude, they're not dealing with what her utterances are, but instead they are dealing with the manner in which she's conducting herself, which is core and critical in this instance. But by and large, even what she says, which is, for me, it's a conduct, it's a negative conduct. When you say in public, it's a negative conduct. What you conduct yourself within the parliament, it's in itself a conduct. So they're dealing with her in general.
Okay, let's get a view from Professor Berry Hanyane. Good evening to you. Do you think the behavior is career limiting, and no surprises that she's finding it difficult to operate even in portfolio committee structures, and possibly faces a very harsh penalty in the disciplinary process?
Cindy, Good evening, and good evening to your panelists there. Look, the Makosa issue reflects the kind of divisions that the governing party is going through. There is no doubt about that. And I think one should also look at her position from an ideological standpoint. In my own analysis, here is a liberal voice that wants to advance certain key principles of non-corruption within government as well as within the party itself. And it's an issue that, and other related issues, of course, that must be looked at. And I think it's dangerous to play the person and not the ball. I'm somewhat sympathetic to the kinds of principles that she stands for. As to the issues of discipline within the party and so forth, I'll leave that to the ANC to decide which route to take. But the reflection in its entirety is that this tells us that there's a lot of fragmentation within the governing party.
By the ANC's admission as well, we're joined by Billy Tsotesi, ANC political commissar. Good evening to you, Tsotesi. And just in your view, has the likes of Dr. Makhosi Khoza become the moral compass of the ANC as they purport to be? Or is this just a rebellion, in your view, that needs to be attended?
Yes, I think Makhosi Khoza is out of order. Let me put it that way. Look, when he joined the ANC, she said that she will respect the constitution and the structures of the ANC. She will place her energies and skills at the disposal of the organization and carry out tasks given to her. And she will work towards making the ANC an even more effective instrument of liberation in the hands of the people. As a start, let's go. If we go further, looking at that, we look at the caucus itself. What is the meaning of the caucus? Which, of course, that belongs to it. When we say a caucus, it means an organized group of public representatives of the same political party which exists as a structure. So what it means, we've got an ANC structure in government, which means she is not exonerated from the policies and the constitution of the African National Congress. At each respective sphere of governance, which meet privately to discuss policy issues pertaining to voting and strategies in preparing for open meetings with other political parties, where such policies are discussed and voting takes place.
Just hold on the line. We don't want to lose Ibrahim calling us from Soweto. Thanks for your patience. Good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, Cindy, and good evening to your panelists over there. Cindy, look, I'm a member of the African National Congress in good standing. And Comrade Tsotesi he just covered me very well as he outlined most of the points that actually I was attempting to.
Okay, so maybe you can summarize.
But obviously, but also just to deviate, just slightly to deviate. Mr. Hanyane, you know, I can't say I'm surprised of his comments because I listen to him most of the time. Whenever he comments, for me, it's just something else. But nevertheless, he's entitled to his opinion. But as for Dr. Makhosi Khoza, she's totally ill-disciplined. She's one of those that we regard as attempting to destroy the organization within, an enemy within the organization. And she must be disciplined together with the rest of the others who've been misbehaving, trying to what you call to divide this organization. We cannot tolerate this, Cindy. Really, we cannot go on like this. We cannot let these people to torment our organization as she does.
All right, much appreciated, Ibrahim. Let's get a view from our panelists. How does grandstanding and ridiculing your organization in a public platform aid in its restoration or renewal if Dr. Makhosi Khoza is saying that she will still be publicly critical? We don't see this being encouraged with the opposition, and yet those that criticize the ANC are essentially lauded and encouraged and you know, spoken of bravery and all sorts of other virtues.
Well, Dr. Khoza, a moral compass is a foot. Said it's little to do also with ideology. It has all to do with the destruction of the ANC, and which she is part of, it seems. Now, the ANC, and I'm repeating myself here, the ANC has been undermined by infiltrators from the onset, particularly more so since 1990 onwards. Those infiltrators are still handled by the same handlers to this day. And they are very much stepped up their game today, because they know that President Zuma knows who those infiltrators are and who is behind the corruption cases throughout South Africa. They're very much concerned about it, that they'll be exposed and that they'll go to jail possibly before 2019. That is the real issue here.
And I mean, also if you look at the personalities, because it seems that some feel they are larger or they're beyond reproach, they're bigger than the organization based on their long service. Mosiri, that it's not about the ideology or the constitution of the ANC necessarily, it is what they, in their own personal capacity, feel is the right thing to do, so to speak.
Yes. You see, before Makhosi Kazi became a member of parliament, at initial, before she becomes who she is, she's a member of the ANC. She's made by the African National Congress. Now, in that instance, those that are giving a perception that they're a moral compass, that everything around them, they stand for the morality within the ANC. Who else is standing for the negative or opposite to that? Who's standing for corruption? What impression are you saying? Who is on the other side? Who's on the opposite? If you are standing for the moral compass of the African nation as a member of parliament, it means all the 2048 or 20-something or 200 and something members of the ANC in parliament are standing for corruption. That's the impression you are giving. But above all, if one says, I am going to stand for the principle what the ANC was founded on, the ANC was founded on itself again. It was an organization founded in church, and it's an organization, above all you have to do is to respect the organization, build its integrity, talk positive about your own organization. Don't go around talking negative about the organization and then say, no, I'm standing for the moral. All of us in South Africa stands and would uphold a moral standing, and ANC has been an organization that stands for that morality at all costs. You are not the only one, or rather you are not the one. Yeah, the ANC and its president in particular stands for that moral compass.
Let's get a view from Isaac calling us from the Northwest. Good evening to you. How are you, Isaac?
Fine, and you, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you. It's Friday.
Yes. I just want to make a comment regarding Dr. Makhosi Khoza.
Isaac, switch off your TV. We can hear you in the background.
Yes. But the comment that I want to make is that if she follows her conscience, the members of the committee were also following their conscience when they refused to listen to her.
All right, I hear you. Yeah, no.
Because all the ANC members they have to go according to abide by the constitution of the ANC. We are the members of the ANC, not the conscience. If we are to follow our conscience, then everybody will do as he wishes.
All right, thank you so much, Isaac, for your call. Professor Hanyane, the last caller saying that your conscience doesn't carry a membership number within the ANC. It doesn't sign in terms of the indictment, or rather the being introduced as a member and accepted as part of the organization.
Cindy, simple equation. I suppose democratic centralism is the answer within the ANC. And I don't see that as the answer. In short, the center seems not to be holding. This is the reason why there's a conflict between individual interest as well as what one would see as the sum total of interest represented by the so-called your universal conscience of the ANC. I'm finding it hard to put a finger to that. Like I said earlier on, we're talking here of factionalism within the ANC. We're talking here of the strangling of the voice of the liberals within the ANC. And listen to COSATU, listen to SACP. Why is it that there are so many voices within the so-called broader church? Your earlier caller from Soweto had a problem with my position around this issue. I hope that alleviates some kind of confusion that might have been created earlier on by my comments.
All right, let's, Udo, just your take in this. I mean, again, going to the rumors, we know that Dr. Khoza has now denied it unequivocally, saying that she's not going to join any other party. She's going to entrench her, dig in her heels in the ANC.
Well, if she said that, she most likely did, and she then joins a party, then whether it's the DA or the EFF or COPE or Achang or whoever, then she proved to be a public liar. Clearly, so she has to actually toe the line of her own words. And I would like to just also point out those people who behave the way that like she does and others within the ANC. They're not rebels, they're not politicians. Even if you ask them whether they voted or not, most of them didn't even vote. And that's fact. Now, by doing that, what are they really? They are anarchists. And no country can afford an anarchist in politics or anywhere else. And academic armchair analysts always know better, but do they really? I doubt it very much.
It's just in closing, is the ANC in cornered in the sense that Dr. Khoza is holding the movement to ransom, in that you fire me, otherwise I'll continue with my defiance and being vociferous about issues that she's unhappy with within the organization?
Yeah, look here, I sympathize with her. You know, if you don't know how it's the road, how do we function as an organization? How do we respect the collectiveness of the organization? Because all of us, as the cadres of the African National Congress, we have subscribed to a principle of participatory democracy, which we believe in collectivism. If he is a loose cannon, he therefore does not belong to me. He belongs somewhere, I don't know where, but somewhere. That's what I can say.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rebeli Tsotetsi. Just, Mosiri, I mean, the whole purging of members, there was a concern around preserving the organization, that whole year of OR Tambo, unity in action. This is not going very well for the ANC, if what's going on with Dr. Makosi Khoza is anything to go by.
Well, the year of unity, you expected people to be unified with the organization, to show more unity. You expected the members, all members of the African National Congress, to stand against opposition, come what may, that they're going to be unified as one force. Before that, she stands up and says, I'm not going to be part of that unity. She herself has isolated together with other members who have done that. But she's an insult to the African National Congress from where I stand, but above all to the 11 million people who have voted for that African National Congress to remain unified, to go and pursue the radical economic transformation, to go and change the lives of the majority of people. We're not interested in petty little issues of individuals. We're all interested in how do we move South Africa forward? How do we improve the lives of our people? How do we make sure that our lives get better, that the economy is improved? We're not interested in somebody who comes and talk about morals as if the president of that African National Congress doesn't stand for that.
All right. Let's just take a quick call. Very briefly, Masubane, good evening to you. Your last call on this debate. Good evening.
Okay. You know, my humble contribution is that this is in line with the policy of America. All members of the BRICS are experiencing this problem. So they are destabilizing all the countries' political structure from within. So this is not surprising. This is the work of the CIA. So it's not surprising. Thank you.
All right, Masubane, we're going to leave it there, saying that, feeding into the regime change narrative. But you at home, thanks indeed for calling and for watching. And thanks to our panelists. As always, we value your time. For now, though, we take a quick ad break. We'll see you shortly.